Hello, Facebook. We are coming to you from the Hormone Zone and we are live. My name is Dr. John Robinson.
And I'm Dr. Christina Bosch.
And we are the Sex Docs. So, another great episode for you today. Episode 4, we are specifically talking about how 5 key ways that we can help you to lose weight through a couple of different strategies. Well, 5 specific strategies we're going to talk about. And how that relates to hormone replacement therapy and what we do here at the Hormone Zone.
This is specifically for fat loss. We're going to say weight loss every now and then, but please let's remember what we're talking about is fat loss. We want you to be long. We want you to be lean and strong, is what I was trying to say. Not long.
Maybe. But definitely we want to be lean. We want to make sure we're maintaining muscle while we're doing any kind of fat loss, or weight loss should be mostly fat and really not losing muscle. So we'll talk about ways that we can do that today. So first and foremost, I want to remind everyone, put on the notifications for Facebook Live notifications so you know exactly when we're going to be on. And again, that's every Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Arizona time, which is also Mountain Standard Time.
Remember, we don't change the clocks.
Right, yeah, we're the only, I think we're the only smart ones that don't do that. But anyway, 12:30 Arizona time, and turn on those notifications so you know and you're reminded. So 5 specific ways to lose weight. Let's get right into it. Mm-hmm. So first step, balance those sex hormones. So remember when we're saying sex hormones, we're not just talking about sex, even though it is related to that. We're talking about hormones that are related to gender, so estrogen and testosterone.
Right. And then this is really important when we're talking about testosterone. Specifically, I always like to mention, because we do forget that testosterone is incredibly important for females, even after those procreation years, even though I know the conventional approach likes to say otherwise, and particularly important for fat loss and muscle building. Agreed?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So how?
Well, particularly with testosterone, and then remember, women need testosterone for the same exact reasons men do, and testosterone's building muscle. It's also building bone, which is a big part of maintaining our lean body mass, is maintaining both bone and muscle. But it's specifically androgenic, which means it has that capacity to increase muscle. The more muscle you have, the higher metabolism is. The higher metabolism is, it's easier to lose body fat in the long run and maintain that weight loss over time.
Mm-hmm. Because studies do show that when you do weight resistance and you are building muscle, that muscle is indeed a metabolically active tissue that will continue to burn calories even post-workout.
Absolutely. And it allows you to maintain the intensity throughout workouts. So if you don't have a lot of muscle, it's hard to push yourself to the point where you can actually achieve fat loss. Right. So this is giving you that extra, literally mechanical energy to be able to increase the intensity to lose body fat.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to take a moment here to also remind us, Dr. Robinson had mentioned about how we do get bone building benefits from estrogen and testosterone. This is also why here at the office we don't like to focus on weight loss. As we're making patients leaner and again sexier inside and out, that may not reflect on the scale the way you see it at home and you're going to get frustrated, but it could be that you're losing the inches.
Yeah, it's changing the dress size,
leaner,
is changing the shirt size.
More cut, right?
Yeah,
okay,
pant size, absolutely. And so, yeah, we're using the weight loss term here because that's the thing that most people recognize. But yeah, once they come in to see us, for sure, we're going to be focusing on the fat.
Right.
And we have great ways to be able to measure all that for you, too, when you're here. So that's number 1, sex hormones. That's one of the first things we would look at. Another thing definitely is thyroid. So number 2, balance that thyroid. Make sure you've actually got the right diagnosis. So 2 problems out there is that most people aren't getting the right diagnosis for thyroid. It's going under looked at or found by most conventional approaches.
Undertreated.
And then certainly the other problem would be undertreated. People might be on thyroid hormone, but they're not getting enough of it to increase the metabolic rate so they can actually lose fat.
Yeah. And this is one of the tools, or this segues into one of the tools that we use here, which is a resting metabolic rate analysis. One of the things that this tool helps us do as physicians is to make it easier to properly diagnose that your thyroid is either hypothyroid, slow functioning, or at least just subclinical hypothyroid, which means that your labs may still be within that range of normal, but you're very symptomatic. Like, I can't lose fat no matter how hard I try. But this also tells us about calorie count, right?
Right. So resting metabolic rate, this just means what is the basal amount of that your body's naturally burning. And for some people, they come in, and with these very special tools that we have here, we can find out exactly to the calorie how much you're burning. And many people come in and realize they're not really burning all that much at rest. So that really moves into a part of a diagnosis for low thyroid. So it's a cutting edge kind of way to be able to look at that diagnosis for thyroid.
And it's really helpful for those of you out there that feel like I'm eating right, I'm exercising, I get on that treadmill, I squeeze those handlebars, and it tells me I burnt 400 calories. You come in here, you get a metabolic analysis that's of medical grade, and you learn you're actually only burning 120 calories per 30 minutes of moderate exercise. That's a great tool if you're using your calorie expenditure to guide how you're eating.
Yeah. Those tools, that's a great point. Those tools that they're using at gyms are just basing it on, you put in your age, you put in your weight, and it's just, they're assuming an optimal metabolic rate. And we definitely see here that a lot of people are running around with a suboptimal metabolic rate. And again, that ties into thyroid. So that allows us to get that diagnosis for you, get that thyroid hormone into the system, and then increase it to the point where you're able to achieve fat loss.
Okay.
So, third, this is a big passion for us here.
Definitely.
Insulin and blood sugar control. And I would say largely this has to do with pre-diabetes. Now, we certainly treat diabetes as well, but most people are walking around with pre-diabetes. 86 million people in the United States have some form of pre-diabetes, or what we call insulin resistance, but 9 out of 10 don't know they have it, and they don't know that that's the key to their inability to lose fat.
Especially belly fat?
Yeah, for sure. It's all this central obesity, and it's also belly fat, not just on the outside, but belly fat on the inside. Yeah, we call that visceral fat in and around the organs, and this further increases the likelihood of someone developing diabetes and just having the inability to lose body fat.
One of the really important things about insulin resistance when we're starting to treat it is that it's kind of counterintuitive. People think, I eat too much. If I eat less, I'll lose more fat. But if you're having insulin resistance, not maintaining your blood sugar through eating not enough throughout the day or infrequently will definitely exacerbate your symptoms and make it that much harder for you to lose fat. Never mind that you're going to be lacking energy, which makes it harder to have discipline, feel motivated, and it's going to make it harder for you to get yourself to an exercise routine.
Yeah, we want to be able to create a lifestyle for people to where they can have that consistency to achieve what it is they're looking to achieve, to where they're feeling that goal set, the light at the end of the tunnel, and they're always kind of moving in that direction.
Yeah, and one of the easiest ways to stay motivated for a lifestyle change
is results.
And if, one of the analogies I like to give patients a lot is that first let's focus on your hormones when you want to lose fat. Because you can be doing everything right and you're still running in place. There's no progress because without a proper hormonal foundation, there's no fat loss.
Yeah, you're not reaping benefits from all those efforts. It's literally spinning your wheels. We don't like that around here. We want to see results.
So those are 3.
That's 3. Number 4. What's number 4? Stress management. So not that we have anybody that's probably dealing with stress. We don't deal with any stress.
Not during our segment anyway.
No way. So, but yeah, it's inevitable. It's out there. We're dealing with stress all the time. And what that relates to is the stress hormone cortisol. And if there's a lot of cortisol around, it's really, really difficult to lose body fat, particularly around the middle.
So this is where I always say, let's appreciate the beauty of the body and the complexity of how these are all interrelated. But they really are. We're not separating you into different parts. We're keeping you together where when you're thinking about 5 secret strategies to losing fat, you weren't thinking that we were yet again going to tell you about sex hormones. But when you have the proper sex hormone, proper thyroid hormone, proper insulin and glucose management, and proper stress management or adrenal hormone management, you have an easier time achieving results in fat loss and then maintaining them.
Yeah, for sure. And look, everyone's trying to get to that point where stress is a little bit more balanced in their life anyway, but it's just so interrelated with fat gain. So that's number 4. Let's move on to number 5. This is a big passion for us. This is, so people often are going to be thinking, well, what about the nutritional approach? And here's one really key nutritional approach that we go through and really examine closely. And this would be food allergy testing, and something that's really a passion of yours for sure.
Yeah, I guess, well, food is a passion of mine, and eating. And many of you know that my background in undergrad was in dietetics and food service management because I loved food industry that much. I wanted to know the ins and outs of restaurants. The reason I mention that is because I can give you a first-hand account of how much I understand that the psychology of changing how we eat is one of the biggest hurdles, obstacles to success. When we're talking about food sensitivities, we're not talking about allergies. What are we really looking at?
Well, there's two different things that you can look at. You can look at a response, an immune response called an IgE reaction. So if you go to your regular allergist, they're normally looking for IgE reactions. This is an anaphylaxis, your throat closes up type of reaction to a given thing, whether that's peanuts or something in the environment. But what we're looking at, we'll look at those things too, but a lot of people don't actually react to foods in that fashion. Their immune system is reacting in a different way. That's an IgG reaction. So this is more of a chronic underlying reaction that when we add that up with several foods, now you're inflamed.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, if you're inflamed, you can't lose body fat.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. An easy way, if you're out there and you're going to be speaking to your own physicians, if we don't have the pleasure of working with you, then an easy way to remember is that E for immediate. This is an immediate reaction. You eat it, you know that it's bothering you, your throat is itchy. The IgGs that John is talking about are delayed reactions. So it's really difficult to say, oh, I'm so gassy, I'm so bloated, but all I ate was a salad. Well, it's because it might have been something you ate 72 hours before, exactly 3 days ago, something you ate. Maybe it was something good for you, but you still didn't respond well.
Right, that's a good point. The test that we have will check up to 154 different foods. And it could be things on there like, I don't know, a strawberry.
Yeah.
And you think a strawberry is really good for you, and maybe it's great for you, maybe it's one of the worst things in the world for you. And then we look at several other foods, and then if people have many, many foods they're allergic to, they're going to have an issue called leaky gut. And this is a big epidemic. We're seeing a lot of this, and a lot more talk about it, which I think is great.
I think we should do a whole segment on leaky gut. Reach out and let us know if that's something you're interested in. But essentially what happens when we have leaky gut is that a person can be eating 100% organic, beautiful diet, and they're still in a malabsorption state. Therefore, they are malnourished. If your body is malnourished, for as sophisticated as our modern world is, it's still a relatively primitive function to say, I am malnourished, I do not have enough fuel, I'm definitely not going to lose fat, because who knows if I'm going to have something to eat tomorrow. And
that'll certainly affect the metabolic rate. If you're malabsorbed and you don't have a lot of those micronutrients that's part of helping with your thyroid, part of helping with your sex hormones, etc., you're not going to be able to increase your metabolic rate, so you can lose fat. So it's a big interwoven kind of situation here, and that's the way we always look at it, in a comprehensive way. So yeah, we want to make sure we're looking at that and healing this leaky gut. So just real quickly, leaky gut would also mean there's gut cells, and they should kind of come together and be nice and tight. Together. So what happens, that starts to break down the tight junctions in here. It's kind of like cement that holds it in. That starts to break down from the insult from these foods that you may be allergic to. And then things start to separate out, and then they're kind of leaky, and things are getting through that shouldn't be getting through, and there's the malabsorption. And there's problems with autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's thyroid disease and all kinds of other autoimmune conditions.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg. Here's what you'll understand. I'm not losing fat. I'm changing my diet. I'm changing my exercise routine. It's still not working. What else should I be looking at? We've given you 5 really good strategies to evaluate. Are your hormones working well? Are you managing your stress well? And is your gut working in such a way that the goodness you're putting into your system is being utilized?
That includes all the supplements that people tend to spend a lot of money on, a lot of time and effort, and they're not actually absorbing what they're taking in. I had a patient yesterday who she asked a great question. She had this test done. It was at the end of the day yesterday, and she had, I think it was 25 foods, very, very, a lot of reaction, very significant. But she said, what about an elimination diet? And elimination diets, you can use them and they do work. But it would have been almost, the amount of things that she was reacting to, it would have been almost impossible for her to figure out the very specific foods that she was reacting to. It would have taken her almost a lifetime to figure that out. And might not have ever figured it out. So this, in a very quick, easy blood test, we were able to tell her quickly what she was allergic to, what to stay away from, and then we taught her specifically how to heal that leaky gut.
How to repair it. Because let's leave you with some silver lining. Again, we love food, we love healthy eating, we love healthy living. So what's one of the most important things I get to learn from my food sensitivity test is that it's not a true allergy. In general, most of the foods you're reacting to, you should be able to reincorporate into your life, at least in moderation.
After about how long?
About 3 months.
Right.
After about 3 months of complete elimination and gut repair.
And that's just it. It's a 90-day protocol that we've had. We've really worked on this for many years and kind of fine-tuned the whole thing. So for a lot of people, 90 days, if they just follow that for 90 days, then some of those foods, let's say the strawberry, they might be able to reintroduce that back in. In some cases, it seems like people will just remain reactive to certain foods, but the massive majority that they reacted to in that initial test, they won't after they've
Introduce
done.
them again.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's 5 key ways, and there's more, and we could get into more, but that's 5 key ways that really could get you started, get us into, I guess we're into bikini season now. Here it
Yeah,
comes.
definitely out here we are.
What do we say for guys? If women are bikini season, what is it
Bikini season.
for guys? Not me. Okay, so let's get into the artisans of sex. This is one of our favorite parts here, and we've talked about that before, bringing and bridging art and science together in this concept of artisans. And ours is specifically to the artisans of sex. So I'll start with the science of sex. So for today, this is about sex and weight loss. So believe it or not, or fat loss. Believe it or not, sex helps you to lose fat. This has been out there. We've talked. Maybe you've seen these things. We've talked about it before, and but really, the science is not really very clear on it. In fact, a lot of the science in a conventional model is showing that people really aren't losing all that much weight from sex because they're not really burning that many calories from it. And here's why.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I don't. Well, I'll let you get into a little bit more why. But let me get into some of the technical stuff. Well, first of all, the average sexual intercourse event is only about 6 minutes. You're burning only about 3 to 4 calories per minute. And so we're about 20 calories for the average 6 minutes. I mean, 6 minutes, I don't know, that's not very long.
No.
So that's maybe a big part of the problem. And so there's probably an artistic way, I would think, that we could probably improve this whole thing and lose even more fat.
There you go. Thank you for passing the baton. Of course there is. Well, first of all, obviously, make it longer and include foreplay in that.
Right, yeah.
The other thing is make it more physically exciting. One of the best things you can do is explore your positions. If you're in a missionary style, then I can imagine, especially the female, if she's the one on the bottom, you're not going to be burning as many calories.
And there's lazy ways for guys to do it in missionary.
There are, yes, definitely. So we don't want this about laziness. Sometimes those quickies are still nice and good, and maybe they've already topped off your super hard workout. But we're talking about making this part of your exercise regimen. Stand up, lean against a wall, use those quads, use those glutes, engage your core. These are great ways to burn more calories.
And make sex more fun.
And have great sex. Absolutely. So
that's a pretty cool segue there.
Burn fat, have more sex.
Right, yeah, duh. So here's definitely what we know for sure.
Hormones, they're sexy.
Life is sexy. Facebook Live is sexy for us. We're having a lot of fun with this. We're the Sex Docs. We're going to be here again definitely next Tuesday, 12:30. A couple of quick announcements. We will be on Networking Arizona with Carol Blonder today at 4:30 p.m., 1100 KFNX. Please tune in. Check out the show. We're going to be talking about what we do here, a little bit of Sex Docs information, and some new fun things. So definitely check it out. 1100 KFNX, 4:30 p.m. for that drive home today.
That's our rush hour, and for those of my friends that are in the New York City area, that's your rush hour as well. So
right, yeah,
2 hours ahead, you're still at it.
They have a lot more rush hour than we do for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then finally, next week we're going to be talking about the love hormone, oxytocin. So episode 5 next week. Tuesday, 12:30. Still trying to get that straight in my head. 2:30. Tuesday, 12:30 Arizona time. The love hormone, oxytocin. We'll see you then. Thanks a lot, Facebook.
Have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Take good care.